Old Town Yellowknife, Northwest Territories, February 2025. With the help of a small army and very competent crew of WestJet employees, I was able to make another travel dream come true. Valentine's Day 2024 had me boarding trains to New York City to watch the Montreal Canadiens play my New York Rangers at Madison Square Garden. As I made my way back to Canada, I wondered how I could top the excitement of that 7-4 victory, which included a Chris Kreider hat trick on February 15th. The idea to view and photograph the Aurora Borealis in Yellowknife, Northwest Territories came to mind, and 6 months later I had my flights, accommodation, and insurance booked. All of this with relative ease from my home computer. As a grade 6 student, I had written an essay about Yellowknife becoming the capital of the Northwest Territories, and from that moment I hoped that one day I would get to visit this luminous place. Winter travel always comes with the knowledge that I might get stranded due to severe storms. Knowing there were 2 storms on their way to Ottawa, I planned to park at the airport so I would not need to remove the 70 centimeters of snow that fell while I was in the sunny north. WestJet check-in was a breeze, as I had packed light, and it was smooth sailing through security thanks to that friendly, efficient team. With a short stop in Calgary before flying to Yellowknife, I relaxed and enjoyed the flight. My luggage was checked in Ottawa, and the next time I saw it was on the baggage carousel underneath an incredible polar bear art exhibit. Taxis were lined up to take travelers to their accommodation, and the Northern Skies room at the Aurora Bayside Inn was ready for me when I arrived. Showering off the travel before I lay down in the heavenly bed with the divine duvet and pillows that begged to be cuddled, I quickly dozed off for a short nap. Everything about the inn was warm, even though you could crack your skin in the sub-zero temperatures on Great Slave Lake. Waking before sunrise, I was excited to go for a walk. I dressed in my warmest clothing and was out the door with cameras charged and SD cards loaded to capture the views from the Pilots Monument. The weather statements on my cell phone reported minus 39 degrees Celsius, and both the crunching of the snow under my boots and the near frozen tip of my sniffy nose were a testament to that. All of this was forgotten when a flock of ptarmigans appeared in my viewfinder. 2 of them stopped to check me out and pose for my cameras. Their names are Aurora and Aura, and they will be characters in my new children's book, Duets. Of course, that is another story. Happy with the bird photos, I knew that I must keep moving to stay warm. Even dressed in my Canada Goose outerwear, I reminded myself that batteries drain quickly in sub-zero temperatures. Climbing the stairs to the Pilots Monument had me marveling at the view, and the feeling of being at the same level as the horizon line helped balance me as I captured photos and videos on this high rock. The sun shone brightly and the wind nipped my skin lightly, but it was the pilots who risked their lives that held my attention. Thinking about the pilots bringing mail, medicine, food, and the basic needs to this beautiful territory had me saying a prayer of thanks for those who had flown me to this magnificent place. Close to the bottom of the Bush Pilots Monument, which stands as a reminder to the pilots and engineers who helped map the Canadian Shield, I found a short trail. It was covered with a fresh fall of snow, and there was no way I could ignore this slightly off-road exploration. The trees sheltered me from the wind as I learned the history of Old Town, taking photos of the plaques to read later. As I walked back to the inn, I spotted sled dogs and a few people learning how to operate the sleds. The sun was getting warmer and the wind had subsided a bit, so I sat on a snow-covered bench to see what I could capture with my cameras. Watching kick-sled students with the dogs was incredible, but it didn't take my cameras long to zoom in on our Canadian Armed Forces, who were in Yellowknife with our Royal Canadian Navy to practice ice rescue. It's always reassuring to see and chat with our cordial armed forces, who are at the top of my list of Canadian heroes. The Aurora Bayside Inn comes complete with an on-site restaurant that serves a variety of meals. Although I didn't get to ice fish, I was able to savor the Flamecraft Grill and Chill whitefish that was skillfully prepared for me and served with a smile. The inn was originally built in 1995 as a tea room, but major renovations and a new addition in 2011 saw it become a bed and breakfast. As of this writing, it is a delightful inn with a great restaurant and an amazing view. You will find plenty of information and photos at the Aurora Bayside Inn website, and the neighborly North folks are happy to help with reservations and questions. Property and business owner John St. Louis stopped by for a brief welcome, and he was happy to answer my questions and make recommendations about the area. With 2 years of night photography studies behind me, I was ready to capture the brilliant night sky that called me outdoors. Because digital technology doesn't really appreciate extreme temperatures, I was sure to keep the cameras protected as much as I could. Staying outside no longer than 10 or 15 minutes at a time, I was able to master the shot, stay reasonably warm, and keep my photography equipment protected. The stillness of a barber is required for clear photos, but the excited photographer in me was challenged to stay still as the aurora borealis danced across the night sky. The third night, with the rising of the full moon, everything started to click, and the results had me wanting to stay awake all night to watch the sky. Along with an uninterrupted place to write and edit, this was the reason I traveled to the Northwest Territories, and it was beyond my expectation. Nature held a constantly changing view, and it was from the Northern Skies room that I came to appreciate those who had constructed this beautiful vacation retreat. With the provided internet, my laptop, and some free time, I was able to do what I love best, and that is write stories, publish books, and make movies. Another reason for my visit to the Northwest Territories was to learn about the culture and meet new people. After the city taxi dropped me off at the door of the Prince of Wales Northern Heritage Centre, I was greeted with a warm welcome on a very chilly day. A walk through the centre is like taking a step back in time when self-reliance and necessity were the mother of invention. Enduring the harsh climate was the only way to survive. Learning how to build a moose skin canoe was fascinating, and it gave me a new appreciation for craftsmanship and a unique form of transportation. The greatest highlight of my week was the Sun Dog Adventure 2-dog kick sled tour on Great Slave Lake. When the dogs started to race, I could feel the presence of Jack London and remembered his story about Buck and the call of the wild. This adventure was so much fun, and my adrenaline was pumping, so I knew I needed to keep moving. I was offered a pair of snowshoes, so off I went across the frozen water in search of the Heritage Cemetery and the popular ice caves. Back Bay Cemetery is the original cemetery located on Yellowknife Bay, and it has been designated a heritage site. I was sure to say a prayer for the deceased as I snowshoed on the narrow, rocky trail through the graveyard to the ice caves. The trail to and from the caves was exhilarating, and I worked up an appetite for the delicious squash salad that was waiting for me at the Sundog Trading Post Cafe. What more can I say about this week? I am left with nothing but gratitude for those who serve in the travel and tourism industry. Their ready smiles made me feel welcome wherever I went, and they were happy to answer my questions. In a land where I am often afraid to drive on a stormy highway, pilots and their crews navigate and master the ever-changing weather conditions. These brave souls will forever remain at the top of my list of superheroes. Thank you for your service. As I was waiting at the Yellowknife Airport to fly home, I wondered where my call to be wild would take me on my next vacation. What could I see and do that would top this wonderful week? It didn't take long to get my answer. As I unpacked and began to edit the photos that I took, I was surprised to see my feet on the world map that graces the floor of the Yellowknife Airport. If you look closely, you will see that my boots are pointing at Churchill, Manitoba, and I have always wanted to photograph polar bears. Until we meet again, happy trails.
Sorry, I'm okay.